Bloomburrow, the next standard Magic the Gathering release that is sure to make waves. In fact, we've gotten some spoilers, some previews, and an early release video, and frankly, it seems like this set's going to be an absolute banger. There's something for almost anybody, and regular fans like you and I, in my opinion, are going to have a blast when this thing drops. But with all that being said, I'm not going to pre-order any Bloomburrow. Quite yet. There's a lot of factors that go through my mind when it comes to considering pre-ordering a Magic the Gathering product, even one that I think is going to be as successful as Bloomburrow. I want to talk about Bloomburrow specifically, why I'm not pre-ordering just yet, and maybe touch on my philosophy when it comes to pre-ordering Magic the Gathering products as a whole. And there's a lot to talk about in this video today, and I hope you have some fun. So without further ado, let's get started. The price of Magic the Gathering is too damn high. There, I said it. Let's just get it out of the way right now. We're going to talk today a lot about pre-ordering and how fans like you and I spend our hard-earned money. And yes, a little bit how I specifically spend those sweet, sweet dollar bills. And whenever you have a discussion like that, you get a lot of very, let's call it enthusiastic or passionate comments about the price of Magic the Gathering, people spending money. And frankly, I don't buy cards, I just proxy. You're going to get that comment 100 times over and over again. So I want to get this out of the way right now. How everyone spends their money should be up to them, and I encourage anybody who loves the game or anyone who enjoys spending their money a certain way to continue to do so when it comes to our cool collectible cardboard. But if you have a problem with anyone talking about Magic the Gathering, how much it costs, and how they spend their money, I'm open to listen in the comment section below, and while you're down there, make sure you hit that sub button because we're racing to 9K, and with a small channel like mine, every sub helps. But when it comes to Bloomburrow specifically, I haven't pre-ordered anything yet, and I might very well not. As someone who has been around the Magic the Gathering world, ecosystem, and universe for the better part of 20 years, pre-orders have gone through cycles. There was once a time where you should pre-order. You wanted to get stuff early, you got a little incentive as you got the cards in your hand, you could go down to your local game store and jam some standard. But that's not the world we live in anymore. We don't have to deal with those early access problems with all of these sets being readily available on digital or online clients like Magic Online and Arena. It seems like you can get a taste of those cards right on pre-release if you so see fit. There's also the added complication that standard really isn't a thing anymore. Before, it made sense to pre-order a couple boxes, get a couple cards in your collection, and be ready to build the shell of a standard deck, proxying things here and there while you picked up your complete sets. But with Commander dominating the world and only needing a single copy of anything you might want to add to a deck, pre-ordering these boxes is not nearly as important. There's no event start date that you have to have the cards by that you want to compete in a local event at. And if you still grind that and you still do that, that is awesome, but I think there are better ways to go about it. We'll get to that later in this video. But the biggest, benefit of pre-ordering is the fact that there will be boxes on shelf. You guarantee your slot, you make sure the product is available and ready for you, and most of the time, especially in the good glory days, you knew that, hey, I'm paying the same that I will a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now for this product. And this is my biggest linchpin when it comes to pre-ordering Magic the Gathering, and more specifically pre-ordering Bloomburrow. Right now, if we check Bloomburrow prices on TCG Player, they're holding fairly steady. Nothing too extravagant, nothing too high, nothing too low. And while this is indicative of an extremely healthy secondary market, which I do think is important for our game, even for those of us that just put cardboard on the table, you have to have an ecosystem that supports that. I believe that we are going to see some shifts, and there's evidence of this in recent history. Almost every single standard set on TCG Player alone has undergone some kind of crazy release deal where you can get boxes crazy cheap. And this is normally a good thing. There are a few exceptions where something like Karlov Manor, where the Play Booster Box come out, you pay $129.99 for the Play Booster Box, and then a week later it's like $100 and maybe even $98 now. Listen, Karlov Manor not doing super great. Maybe we'll dive into that this week, maybe we won't. I think that would be an interesting topic to discuss. But I really believe that the benefit of locking in your product and locking it in at that price is definitely gone, especially for our standard Magic the Gathering releases. Thinking from Wizards of the Coast perspective, standard sets are one of the things you want to be readily available for your customers. It doesn't do you any good as a company to have your newest standard release hyper limited, to be able to not get the draft booster boxes, or play booster boxes in your hands, or even the collector booster boxes. And yes, while collector booster box rarity can help drive the price of some of these sets, standard sets are meant to placate the majority of Magic the Gathering fans. They are your standard releases. They are for your hardest core of the hardest core, and the newbies of the newbies, and anyone and anywhere in between. So I don't think it behooves the business model that we always theorize about for Wizards of the Coast on this channel to make those sets hard to come by. And because of this, I think we will see what the rapid release cycle causes over and over again when it comes to Bloomburrow. And yes, that's a slight decrease in price. In fact, with most standard Magic the Gathering releases, save something like Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which was an absolute banger, but was still on the shelves at a fair price for almost a month before things really started to skyrocket, we see these sets come out and take a bit of a drop in price. And that's not saying, oh my gosh, it's the Amazon dump, it's the end of times, everything is going poorly. No, it's just we all buy the set, and we know that in a month's time, a month and a half's time, something new is coming. And because of that, it's hard to keep us engaged. And while we are initially willing to shell out our buckaroos, our dollarinos for the new Magic the Gathering product, often we say bye 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 and just kind of move on because we are attracted and looking forward to the next latest and greatest thing. And I expect there to be an element of that when it comes to Bloomburrow. Look, even the most successful Magic the Gathering releases, we referenced Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which was wildly successful compared to what we thought it was going to be, and all of the Eldraines, whether we visit them or revisit them, and even premium sets like Modern Horizons 3 came out, and for the play booster box and the draft and set booster box, were just relatively stable for a good amount of time. And you couple that with the chance, the off chance, that there's either a TCG player sweet deal, or the set doesn't do as well as maybe we anticipate and things go down, and that far outweighs the risk for me when it comes to pre-ordering this thing and shelling out my money. But that doesn't mean pre-orders are bad. Again, I really encourage that if you like getting the set early, if on release day you love opening the product, head down to your local game store. Heck, if you're in the West Virginia area, go to Game Grove, my buddy Louie's store. If you're in the Chicagoland area, Min-Max Games is my go-to. I will go there and order boxes early on sets that I am so excited about that I just have to have the cards in my hand the day of. And that's an element I think is under-discussed. Sometimes we just like to get things on release day. It's okay to spend a couple extra bucks here and there to have the things on release day and experience that joy and that excitement of being in that moment. That to me is not some negative that should be scolded or tarnished. Heck, I am probably going to go to Min-Max and pick up a box and just crack it just for fun. Just because I want to, because of that joy, that entertainment that I get from a Magic the Gathering release. Well, it never really goes away. Those tingles that I find, on the tips of my fingers when I rip that first pack is something that I'm willing to pay for. And as long as you have a good game store, like, I'm sure the game store you guys shop at, or any of the ones I mentioned in this video, you're going to have a fair experience and remember that fondly. But when it comes to pre-ordering Magic the Gathering product, it's a weird ecosystem. We're in a space that, I gotta tell you, I'm not familiar with. I didn't think we would be here, and yet here we are. And because of that, I've had to adopt a strategy, and I've alluded to a bit of it here, but I want to kind of dig into exactly how I pre-order products. So if you're still here at this point in the video, give it a like, and then get ready, because I'm going to expose kind of how I spend my money and how I try to stretch my dollar a bit farther. And it starts again with me not pre-ordering Bloomburrow. I'm going to wait standard Magic the Gathering releases out. This is something I've had to adapt to over time. I used to like to get boxes on release day, but in Bloomburrow, whether it's on release day at the game store like I mentioned before, or it's maybe a month in the future, I'm probably going to pick up a box or two for myself because, well, I just want to, but I'm going to give it time to marinate and see how the community reacts to the product. If my target is a collector booster or a play booster for my standard Magic the Gathering set, as I alluded to, I'm pretty sure those will be readily available. Not worried about them selling out and being completely unable to get them, or spiking up $100 where I'm really punished for not getting the boxes early. So I'm going to lean into the, not wait and see to try to time the market, but just insulate and protect myself a little bit from a Karlov Manor style event. But going beyond the standard Magic the Gathering releases, there are products in the future that I am going to aggressively pre-order because of the mantra that Wizards of the Coast seems to be following, this new and improved Wizards of the Coast that seems to be driving our game of Magic the Gathering, where certain products are, well, they're highly limited and they're hard to come by. Take Modern Horizons 3, for example. I just figured I'd pick a box off the shelf here. MH3 being a premium set is something that, well, we kind of all saw coming. We knew this was going to be a good product. We knew that people were going to love it. And we knew that Wizards of the Coast was also, going to print a ton of these play boosters. I also believe that on a premium product, we have seen example after example of them shortening the print run for the collector product. Assassin's Creed and Fallout Commander would be two examples that come immediately to mind. And while I couldn't imagine a world where they highly limited the collector product of what might be the biggest Magic the Gathering set of all time, I knew that it being the biggest set maybe of all time is going to make the product go fast. It was a safe product to pre-order, and I wanted to lock in some of those early prices. And some of those other products that I mentioned are worth pre-ordering are something I will look to in the future. Universes Beyond collector product does seem like something that has some value when it comes to pre-ordering the product. Wizards of the Coast does seem to care a lot about the secondary market, the value of the box, and community feedback when it comes to outside IP. And that makes sense. They're handling a story and characters and a lot of community nostalgia and love for something that they didn't create. And they have to handle that with great care. And because of this, Universes Beyond products do seem to do pretty well in the secondary market. A lot of them seem to go up over time, and it might be worth a pre-order just because those products may have to be limited in nature, whether it comes to caring for the IP or contracts like we mentioned in previous videos. If I remember, I'll link one here. If not, someone give me a timestamp. I'll link it after the fact. But so I really look at premium Magic the Gathering sets and Universes Beyond as opportunities to utilize a pre-order and kind of lock in a good price and maybe take a bit more risk than I otherwise would have had to. But when it comes to standard Magic the Gathering releases, your Bloomburrows, your Duskmourns, and anything else in the future, for now, I'm just going to kind of stick to the script unless we're dealing with a really ostentatious kind of off-the-wall product, something like, the complete bundle. Shout out Duskmourn. I think we're going to have something like this. We'll see if it can hold the candle to my baby, the complete bundle. But going forward, that's the strategy I use. It's how I fill the shelves around my office, around the hometown TCG studios with some of these sweet sealed products. Wow, sweet sealed products was kind of hard to say. And if you have any feedback on this, if you think this is just dumb advice, or there's no chance in you pre-ordering anything, or Wizards of the Coast is never getting another dime from you, which is a comment I get quite a bit on this channel, let me know. I'd love to hear about it, and I'd love to respond to as many as I can. Thank you so much for hanging out today. If you haven't subbed yet, again, click the button, like the video, all the fun, sharey YouTube stuff, and we will see you in the next one. All right, I changed the venue this time. I got Nissa behind me. I got a new angle I get to stand. I'm trying to bring the energy. I'm trying something out. All right, we'll see you around. Bye.